Hello, Women Insurance Producers Unfiltered, or WIPU as we're going to start calling the group. Hi, I'm Yola.
I'm Linda.
So, Linda, I wanted to come on today, and we've gotten a lot of response from the poll that you put out. Thank you very much. We actually had over 300 members vote on it.
That's pretty
So,
good.
yeah, we're getting a lot of engagement, and it is coming up obviously as our algorithms. That's a tongue twister. Pick up. We have a lot more interaction, obviously, but the number one challenge that women are saying in the insurance industry that they are challenged with is time management.
That's a big one.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, and I think what happens, just to jump right into it, Yola, I think what happens is a lot of times women come from a different type of industry. Maybe it's a W-2 where you've got somebody that's setting your schedule for you. Well, it's really easy to manage your time if you know Monday through Friday, it's 9 to 5. And I think that when we come into this industry, we think that we're going to be, able to boss ourselves around. And then we realize, like, we're not a really good boss of ourselves. We'll bend, we'll make concessions, I'll start tomorrow kind of thing. And then it gets away from us. And before you know it, it kind of snowballs. So, I mean, I think that there's more of a mind shift that goes into time management in this industry. I mean, you were in casino sales, right?
Yes.
So again, I remember in Colorado, you were talking about if you had high rollers come in, they managed your time, even if it was 2 o'clock in the morning, you getting up to get cigars for
Yep.
somebody. So it's easier for to fall in the trap when you come here of like, I can do it tomorrow kind of attitude.
Well, to piggyback off what you said, if you're a 9 to 5er, which I wasn't really a 9 to 5er, I was from the time my eyes opened to the time my eyes closed, kind of like what we do in our industry now. But one thing in the casinos is they made you clock in within 7 minutes of your shift. And then you had to clock in for your break. So you had to time yourself on that. And that's what got me into, figuring out, okay, I need to wake up at this time so I can actually be dressed by this time and actually be right at my shift before this time. And then when I
Yeah.
actually got into insurance, I applied the same principle because I was like, if I'm willing to do it for somebody else and give them 17, 18 hours, but they're telling me when to clock in, when to clock out, if I just do it for my own business and I put myself on that same schedule, then I'm actually making more money than I've ever made because of this industry. Like I'm
Yeah.
making a good living with the casinos. Don't get me wrong. It was a really good life. But at the end of the day, I wasn't the owner of the casino. I was never going to be able to get more than I had already accomplished, and unless I wanted to go to another property or expand that way. But I honestly didn't like anybody controlling my time, like you said. My time and my freedom was the most important thing to me as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, I was typing it down so I didn't forget it because you hit something really big. Um, you either learn to manage your time or somebody else will do it for you. So if you can't figure it out, you're going to be forced back into a W-2 working for the man kind of deal where somebody does it for you. And here's the other thing, and I see this a lot, especially with women, and it's because we wear multiple hats. Um, we know what has to be done. Like if we have children, we know that we have to get the kids ready, and that's 30 extra minutes. Or we know that when we pull in the driveway and our car is on E, we know tomorrow morning the first thing I've got to do. That's the worst lie you can ever tell yourself is, oh, I'll just get gas tomorrow. Just get it now because you're going to be pissed at yourself tomorrow when you've got to stop and do it. So if it means that you have to track a little bit more than you really want to figure out the schedule and the time management that you need to keep, do it. If you
Yep.
got to pick kids up, yeah, if you got to pick kids up at 3 o'clock, is it smart for you to work an hour away? Probably not. So take advantage of what you got. And after you do it for, they say 21 days. I think it's much longer than that, but let's just say 21 days. After you do it, it starts to become a habit. And then before you realize, like, I don't set an alarm in the morning, and I get up at the same time every morning. It doesn't matter, weekend, weekday, I get up.
I don't trust myself that much.
I've got chickens too. So yeah,
Oh,
worst case, worst case scenario, they let me know.
no, the only time I don't have an alarm is the weekend because I really don't have anything. But every other day, my alarm goes off whether I'm awake or not. It's just going to go off because, again, I fail. I fail.
Yeah.
But procrastination is a big thing, like you touched on. Like, I saw a meme that said, I procrastinate so much I went pro.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
do put off things that we don't want to do. And it's like, now I have learned, and this is another mind trick, that I do the things I hate doing first, and now I just get rid of them. And
Yeah.
now I can look forward to the rest of my day to do the things that I do enjoy. And because I reward myself for doing the hard stuff, right? Like when I get up and if it's a dial day for me, like let's say a lot of women or a lot of us don't like dialing for our next day appointments or our same day appointments. Like dialing the phone to make appointments is one of the, I'd say, like biggest hurdles in success in this business, is because you got to get above yourself. And we can talk about like dialing some other day. That's actually a really good topic. But when you procrastinate and you're like, oh, I'll just dial in the afternoon. Oh, I'll dial. It never happens because you don't want to do it. And you somehow talk yourself into doing something else that you're working yourself, but you're not really working. So
Yeah, you know what? I don't have dial days. I'm a door knocker, face to face, final expense, but I dial in the car. Like I dial when I'm driving to wherever I'm working. I'm dialing trying to find somebody at home to do a same day appointment or things like that. But this, your schedule and time management, it leads itself well to what was the number two option, or the number two leading cause of stress?
I want to say it was like discipline.
Discipline.
Yes.
Discipline. Yeah. So I mean that it works its way into that as well. I mean, most of the time people just quit before they've given it time to work. And here's what I do. I can't remember what book it was I was reading, and they brought this up, and I was like, dang, I do that. Didn't even know it. Head of the curve. But there's like positive discipline where, like, let me say, like you're trying to work out and lose weight. You could say, hey, if I work out 5 days this week, on Friday, I'll go see that movie that just came out that I really have been looking forward to. So that's like positive discipline. It's like giving you something positive if you do it. I'm more of like the adverse discipline. So let's say I was trying to do, the same thing. I'm going to work out 5 days. The example they gave was write a check to a cause or a group or a presidential campaign of who you despise. Write a check to them, and if you don't hit your goal, you got to send that check.
Ooh,
Right.
that's
So it's the
powerful.
pain. Yeah, it's the pain of I'm going to give up XYZ. And that drives me more. And I think that a lot of times people are more scared of what they can lose over what they can gain anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why it is like that, but I work a lot better if I've got to give up something rather than I gain something.
Wow. See, I work the opposite. Is if I reward myself, I have a reward and I can look forward to it, I will do the hard stuff. So it really depends on where you find your flow. There's no right or wrong reason as long as you get to where you need to. Because you and I are both heavy producers in our own right. Like we do different things and we do have high volume, but I do feel like we're a little bit different on the way that we organize and go about things because I prefer appointments. I love door knocking and I'll door knock if I don't have appointments, but my primary source is to go and be like intentional about my day in appointments. I commend you for actually just kind of going and door knocking and winging it. I love it. I don't know if I can do that myself though.
You know what? I enjoyed. I get to listen to a lot of books and stuff. And I used to not like working the country. Now I do because it's pretty. And maybe I've gotten to that age where I started appreciating some of the finer things in life, the slowerness, if that's a word. But no, I mean, that's how I am. And I think that when it comes to discipline, it's an easy concept. Everybody knows what it is. But I think you've got to discipline your mind more than anything. So your mind is like the strongest muscle in your body. Your mind can actually kill you. Like you couldn't say to your heart, "Hey heart, stop beating," and it listened to you. But you could say to your brain, negative things, and it I mean, it's crazy how intricate the brain is, but you've got to discipline yourself to be okay with the no's, especially because we're in sales. You've got to get to the point where you want the no, because you understand the game, that it's numbers, and the more no's you get, the closer to a yes you are. And so,
Yes.
it's like baseball. There's everybody in the Hall of Fame, their batting average is 300, around that. That means they struck out 7 of the 10 times and they're still in the Hall of Fame. So it's just discipline to tell yourself, hey, it's numbers. The numbers don't lie. I can
Mhm.
figure this out. Keep going.
I mean, I talked about with you a couple of days ago when I had like what 6 appointments and I couldn't sell a one. And
Yeah.
I had a bad day. Like even if they were giving me the check that day, I just couldn't sell anything. Honestly, like and the next day, which was yesterday, I think I closed like $3,000 because and Medicare Advantage plans and hospital indemnities because I hit every one of those appointments. Although the day before I couldn't close a thing. Yesterday that was reversed for me. But had I not shown up to the field because of the day before, I would have just been at a zero for the rest of the week and I would have just been
Yep.
sulking at home and still broke. Now at least I can say I went out, I put some money in my pipeline, and I overcame that challenge of just having a bad week. Because all it is numbers. Like you said, you see enough people in a week, you're going to close a policy, you're going to close a sale. It's inevitable.
Yeah. I mean, that's the bad side effect of this industry, and people coming in with I'm not saying it's not possible, because there's a unicorn everywhere. But for the most part, people don't make good money if they're doing this part-time, and they usually end up giving it up because it's hard to stay disciplined to work when you've got a day off, right? You just worked 40 hours at your other job and now you got a day off and you want me to go do this. So, it's discipline. If you can be disciplined, which leads us into, I think, the third one, which was consistency,
Hmm.
which goes, I mean, we could have probably put all three of those together,
Yep.
because I mean, if anything you do, I think it was either Chuck Norris or Bruce Lee that said, I would rather practice one kick 10,000 times than practice 10,000 kicks one time. Like,
Yes.
consistently doing something is consistently eating bad is going to make you fat. Consistently eating healthy is going to make you healthy. You're going to fall off the wagon. It's the people who win are the ones that climb back, get their ass back on the wagon.
Yep. Yep. I mean, that goes back to the 80-20 rule that we just talked about. And
Yeah.
your consistency is gonna build a lot of that, because 20% of that output is going to give you 80% of your results. You just have to put in the output first.
Yeah.
So practicality though, let's talk, reality. If you're a woman just starting this business, what do you do? Like what's your first step into actually making sure your time is starting to get managed?
The first step is getting out your door. So, like, having a hard set time. Like, when I was first in the business, when we have morning calls, we have a 30-minute morning call. And my goal was, during that call, to be driving to the location I was going to work. And I think that the main reason that people fail is they never get out their door. Like, take the step. There's a meme going around right now that says, Yola, when you and I started this business, we had never sold a policy. We had 0 policies we'd ever sold, nothing, right? Everybody starts at the same location. We start as a nobody with nothing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the people who do the best are the people who stay consistent, give it time to work, and just do the put one foot in front of the other.
I
Like you
agree.
just said, you're going to sell policies if you talk to people. You're going to suck. We all sucked. Some of us still suck. And because they're willing to do, the repetitions, they still make good money. I
I
mean,
agree.
that's the great thing about this business.
The other thing I would say is start a calendar. Marry your calendar at least for 30 days and say, if it's not on my calendar, I'm not committing to it, and commit to every little thing that you're doing, because what that does is you'll start seeing where you're wasting your time. We talk about social media wasting so much of our time every week or every day, because when we're doing something and we're trying to be productive, and you and I are both guilty of this, we're on Facebook trying to scroll and see what's happening in other things in life. And that does, at the end of the day, if it's not intentional, social media can do some great things for you. Obviously, we have a community built on social media. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm saying that if you let it also ruin or take over your time, where you're not really producing and really working, and you're just kind of focused on everybody else, you're never going to be able to produce. And that's where like imposter syndrome starts coming in. That's where you start comparing yourself to other people. Well, why can't they do it and I can't? If you just are more intentional about your time that way, and you figure, like, you write everything on your calendar and you track it, you'll start seeing your time wasters, and that way you can start eliminating them, and you can put more energy towards something that's going to get you productive.
Well, you say productive there, and that's a key word. There's a difference in being busy and being productive.
Yes.
And that's when I see I'm busy getting ready to do something. I'm busy doing that, but you didn't produce anything. There was nothing there. And I like, especially for I would say especially for people who are working in the field, but it's probably almost even harder for people working at home, is to know your triggers. So I used to find, like, especially when I was young, um, I would stop for lunch, and maybe I went in and sat down. And then, I get on my phone and I'm scrolling, and next thing I know, I've just had a 45-minute or an hour lunch. I'm not getting paid for that. So if that's you, maybe pack your lunch or go through the drive-through or do something. Maybe set a limit on your phone. Look at your screen time. What is your screen time? If your
Yeah.
screen time is more hours than you spent actually doing your job, there's your answer.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And if you look at how much of our lives are behind a screen these days, I mean, look, even this is behind a screen because we have to, record and do things. But I feel like you said, if you're more intentional about what you are, there's a lot of content creators out there that all they're doing is creating content as they're doing that, and they are intentional about it. But when you're a new producer, especially, like, because production is money, right? And if you're not making any money, you're going to fall out of the business. It's easier to go back to a 9 to 5. If you can't make the commitment, at least be honest enough with yourself and say, look, maybe this isn't my forte. I need somebody to tell me what to do every day. And that's fine. No judgment. But those of us that do take that leap and that do take that plunge into going full time and actually putting all our faith into ourselves, first of all, and our business, second of all, you never look back. I'm unemployable by choice. I always say that. Like, I can't get hired anywhere else because I won't accept anyone else to tell me what I'm worth. But it's taken me a while to get there, obviously.
Yeah, I was just pulling up
The poll.
the poll while you were talking, just to kind of say that I think we've hit a decent amount. There was one added by Cassie Godwin or Goodwin, not for sure on that one, talking about a hard market. And I mean, I'm assuming that Cassie is probably in PNC because you guys seem to be really struggling right now. Um, and we could go back and forth on that, but not to get hung up on just that one thing, but to go back to master one thing and then move on. So if you came in health, master health and then add final expense. If you came in PNC, master PNC and add life, right? Don't try to be the jack of all trades. Don't try to know everything. And just start. That's the biggest thing. Just start. We all got to start somewhere. Right now is the perfect time. If you're kind of struggling, this is a good time to start over.
Yep. I agree. This is our fourth quarter, and they say, champions are made in the fourth quarter because we still got, a lot of time left on this quarter, y'all. You can still make $20,000 before the end of the year.
Oh yeah.
Really put yourself in your mind and you apply yourself into this business. And of course you have good contracts because some of us don't get paid the same. That's a whole other conversation for another day. But you can still make money in this business and you can still put a good Christmas together for your family if you put that goal in front of you. Because how many of us have not been able to afford Christmas when it's coming up, especially in the economy that we're in? Well, we're in a business that I say we have a license to print money, because you can literally go out, talk to 10 people right now, go to the grocery store, sell a policy.
Well, let me jump in there, and maybe this is what we can end with this one, because you brought up the 5-letter word that we all get into this industry for, and that is money. And I've noticed I've helped a lot of people get started in this industry. And one of the big hangups, one of the biggest reasons that people drop out of this industry, it really isn't because they're not making money. It's because they don't know how to manage the money, right? If you come in and the most you've ever made is $50,000, and you come in and all of a sudden you're making 75 or 100,000, you let your income, you let your lifestyle raise much quicker than it should. And people laugh at me because I don't get hung up on the nice clothes or anything like that. I'm not judging anybody, but manage your money. You don't change overnight. Build a nest egg. Try to get to $5,000 or $10,000 as quickly as you can in your savings before you go out and buy a new car, or buy a whole new living room suit. Or I've seen it all. I've seen people go buy boats, and I'm like, what you ain't selling insurance on the lake, bro.
Yeah,
it ain't happening.
Or the ones that actually just spend everything that they make on their personal lifestyle to live. Like now, all of a sudden, you have $1,000 house, car, and you have $1,000. Like all of your stuff is output, and you're paying everybody else's bills, but you're not paying. You're not actually doing what's good for yourself. If you have debt, sure, pay off your debt, because that's interest that you don't want, right? But if it's between keeping in your savings out and having like a nest egg and just making those payments until you can, maybe it's just because everybody needs a nest egg. And they say that the average American is like one emergency away from being, completely broke.
I mean, you know what I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah.
And that's
what I'm dealing with, having to come up with a whole other changing everything. This wasn't part of like this year's plan for sure.
Yeah.
But, we're blessed that we always talk about our problems, and we have $20,000-$30,000 problems, right? We don't have the $100 problems, but we asked for this, Linda. Like, I'm asking for $100,000 problems. I'm fine with it.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but Yola and Heather obviously know because I talk to them pretty often. But we're in the process of getting our heating and air HVAC all redone, and it started out at one price, then there was an issue, now went to another. But I mean, we're 20 plus right now, and I'm looking at my savings like, I'm glad I have something there, right? And you always want more. But and here's the thing on the money management and paying bills. None of us came into this job with a nest egg, right? Most of us fell into it, and our backs are up against the wall, and we've got to make money. And I see very young agents, they'll get a commission, like say they get $1,000 commission, and their car payments due and a couple of other bills are due, and they spend all that money, that whole $1,000 on bills, but they don't replenish their inventory. But they don't buy leads. They don't have money for that. And like, if you were running a gas station and you sold all your gas and all the shit on the shelves inside, and you paid everybody, but you didn't replenish your stock, guess what? You're not selling anything next month. You're going out of business because
Yep,
you have nothing to sell.
empty gas station.
Right. So you have to make sure, and I'm not, this is something you got to decide for yourself and how bad you want it. There has been times when I've had to rob Peter to pay Paul. Like, I had to decide, is this bill going to be late, or am I going to buy leads to go make more money this week? And I let the bill be late. Now, I'm not saying, that's something you strive for, but you got to start where you're at with what you know and what you have. And once you know better, you can do better.
Yep. Yep. Well, I think we've done a good amount of talking on this subject, Linda. We do have another meeting to get to, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. But I'm going to put out the call again. Thank you for everybody that's interested in coming and collaborating with us. We have a few women that are lined up that we are so excited about. We are coming on with a training program. Platform, excuse me. So if you are a woman in the industry or woman in the industry that wants to contribute and give back and grow with our platform, we are looking for you, whether it's PNC, especially PNC, because we have a lot of our Medicare ladies out right now for annual enrollment. But PNC, commercial, annuities, anybody that wants to kind of come in, we actually have somebody that's going to come and talk about AI here soon, and I'm really excited about that. So I'll let you kind of close it up from here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you summed it up pretty well. If you want to elevate yourself, if you're looking to, the way we get better is doing it over and over and over and over and over. So Yola and I were just talking about that before we got on here. We kind of laughing and joking and things like that. In a year, this will look totally different. So same thing. If you start your diet today and you're consistent with it for, the year, you're going to look different, right? And be proud of that. But if you want to collaborate, please reach out to somebody on the admin team and let us know. We'll schedule a meeting, and we'll let you give back to the community, and maybe you find some folks that want to work with you and you want to work with them.
Yep. The best way to learn is to teach.
Oh yeah. 100.
Right. Thank you, Linda.
Adios.
Wonderful conversation. Bye, guys.